I'm going to make an enemy to shoot at and to shoot at the player. It's going to be comprised of two objects, a spawner and the actual enemy object itself. And we can start by making a sprite. So let's right click, create new sprite, enemy, let's call that enemy 1. I'm going to load a sprite. Let's find it. Oh, back one. So with this sprite, I've actually done an animation with it. So I'm going to load all the frames of that animation, just 8 frames. Open that. And if I go into the sprite editor, you can see there the 8 frames. If I click on show preview, you can see it's like they've got spinning like that. So currently it's playing back at the room rate, which is 30 frames a second. But I want to play it slightly slower than that. So I'm going to set it to 15 and show the preview. Now this is just a preview speed. What I have to do is set the animation speed in the actual object, the enemy object. And I'll show you how to do that in a bit. So if you want to create animated sprites, I mean, I've made this in another package, but here, if you go to the animation tab at the top of the sprite editor, you can set the length of your animation. So if I wanted to increase this to 16, it just copies that and creates another 8 images. Let's undo that. So if I double click on that and open up the image editor, let's just zoom in a minute. So there's my sprite. I can use these arrow buttons here to scroll through the animation. So it's telling me there 3 of 8 images. So if you want to create animation, you simply set the animation frames and then you draw your sprite and just scroll through the frames to do the animation. So I created this kind of globe shape, copied it, and then just drew these this square kind of moving around the frames. There are a few animation effects like reverse, shrink. Let's just do that. That's an experiment. So center, number of frames 8. So that just reduces the size of that. So there are sort of simple things that you can do. If you apply any effects like colorize, it'll affect all of them, all the frames in this window. If I open up the sprite editor and then do an image effect, it'll affect that one frame. Okay. So I've got my animated sprite. I'm going to center it and I'm going to modify the mask. So to be a ellipse. I'm just going to shrink it down a bit by a couple of pixels just so it fills the image. Okay, so now I've got my ellipsoid mask that covers the sprite object. Going back to the mask, if I go for the sub images, that's the frames of the animation. You can see my mask is the same for all of them. You can change the mask during the animation, but it's not really that wise to do so because it can make it quite glitchy. So the mask should remain the same for the animation. So for instance, if you're doing a platformer and you've got like a kind of walking character, although you could make it pixel precise for every frame, it's probably best just to create a simple box because the game will handle it a lot better. Click on OK.